If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.
Hello, I'm Kevin Moore and welcome to the show. Joining me now are Michael and Sarah Feeley, the authors of Walk Into the Light and Beyond the Illusion. Michael and Sarah left their jobs as police officers after having life-changing spiritual experiences, realizing that there was a wider reality to our existence. Michael and Sarah wanted to share their knowledge to help others through their books. Michael and Sarah Feeley, welcome to the show. Sarah Feeley, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now just tell us a bit about your story to begin with.
Yes, Sarah and I met in 2005. We were both frontline police officers in Birmingham, here in the UK. We ended up on the same shift and we began to get to know each other, and the rest is history.
So what exactly happened? So you're both in the police force, and then how did you come into writing these two great spiritual books then? I mean, what was the change there, basically, that sent you on this new path?
Well, our job, it just didn't connect with us anymore. It was getting further and further away from where we wanted to be, probably the last 12 months of our service. And we were sort of looking around thinking, what else can we do? And then we had a major spiritual awakening.
Okay, which was?
Well, we relived the murder of a Victorian teenage girl, and that goes back into my history. There was a ghost girl at the house where I grew up as a child, and she'd been seen time and time again by children that used to come around and visit. And one day, my little brother saw this girl and stated to me that I looked like Sarah Jensen. Now, at the time, he was only 3,
right.
So it seemed very strange that to come out with a full name, it was quite weird for him. He'd only just gotten used to using people's first names.
Right.
And we sort of probed him on this. My mum came into the room and he started to point and say, she's over there, and now she's over there. And then my mum would move and he'd say that, oh, she's moved now because you've stood by her.
So was your mum quite open-minded to the possibility of some sort of, a spiritual existence or something, or ghosts?
She was, because the house that we lived in was quite well known for spooky happenings. There'd been quite a few experiences there prior to this one, and so she was just aware that things did occur there.
Right, and what things did occur?
Well, there'd be times where she would hear somebody calling my name during the night, and then she'd get up and look around and there'd be nobody there. There's times where I've heard really loud bangs and crashes in the bedroom as if something had dropped off the wall, but then I'd get up in the morning and nothing was out of place, nobody else heard it. Windows would just sort of close themselves all of a sudden.
So did you move away, or did you stay at the house as a family?
No, we stayed at the house, yeah. We kind of got used to it over time, so it wasn't such a big deal the further we went on.
Okay. And with yourself, Michael, what was your sort of, any experiences when you was younger with the ghosts and ghouls?
I certainly can't remember any. It's not to say that there was or there wasn't, but I just can't remember them.
So was you pretty much a non-believer in all the spiritual side of religion or ideas, or?
Funnily no, I mean, I'd always been open-minded from a very, very young age. I used to discuss it quite often with my dad and then my stepdad, that there must be more to the universe than just this one reality that we live in. There has to be more than just humankind.
Right, okay. So now, getting back to the story that you were just saying to there, Sarah, about the young girl. Now this story leads on to how, when you guys met up at the police force, tell us what was happening back at home. Was there something strange going on?
There were strange occurrences, but as me and Michael got together, things did start to happen. We sort of, as we connected, it sort of flicked a switch in our brains, if you like.
Between you both, yeah.
It did, and we started to experience all kinds of things, including UFOs. But what happened was, we were aware of this girl, Sarah Jensen. I'd told the story over time, and we went to see a medium one day, and she basically told us that the Sarah Jensen girl was still around. She was causing problems because she was needing to feed off our energy to keep going, and that she wanted some help. She felt that she'd been taken by another's hand, and I confirmed with her that she meant that the girl had been murdered.
Yeah.
And she wanted us to look into it. She knew we were police officers and thought that it would be a chance for her to sort of get her story out. So that's what we did. We went off on a bit of a mission to try and find out what happened to this girl.
And what did happen?
Well, after we searched long and hard to try and find any sort of evidence that she existed, we couldn't find anything in the library as regards to her death. But we later on found out that it was a lot older than we realised. It was going back to Victorian days. And she was basically murdered by her stepfather. He used to abuse her. And on this particular night, about 3:20 in the morning, he went into her room and took the abuse a step further, sexually abusing her, smothered her to stop her from screaming, and accidentally killed her.
How long ago was this, though, that took place? This was hundreds of years ago, was it not?
It was the year 1850, so it had been 159 years previous.
So she had been around in this vicinity for all these hundreds of years, trapped in a sense, would you say, or?
Yeah, I'd say she'd been trapped, or I think she was trapped. It was either that or she was waiting for the right people to come along so she could get her story out and get the help that she needed.
And then, obviously, the help was given, and did she move on in the end?
She did in the end, yes.
Okay, so this is what sparked your initial interest, and so, again, when you both got together, all these things just, came together and were happening, and like you mentioned, the ufology and everything else. And you've dedicated a bit of your book to this young girl as well, haven't you? Which is because she's the initial story of what drove you forward. So would you say then you're coming together? Are you soulmates, would you say?
We think we're twin flames, which is the same blob of cosmic energy split into a male and female body.
Okay, and with the twin flames, that's the same thing as you would class soulmates then, yeah?
There is a slight difference, as in soulmates can be a particular group that you sort of hang around with in the higher realms. Electricians can mix around with electricians and so on, and that can be a soul group. Twin flames are part of the same energy.
Okay, and does that relate back to past lives, would you say?
I think it stems back from the initial point of the creation of that energy. So it would stem back from past lives and even further.
So you would say you've been together before, but I mean, you just feel that, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what is some of the work that you do together then? And I mean, obviously, so you went from being in the police force, but actually, let's get back to that, actually. When you left the police force, what did your colleagues think?
As you can imagine, no one leaves the police force. It's a secure job. It's you can work there for the rest of your life, and unless you do anything silly, you're guaranteed to have an employment. So there's a few eyebrows amongst colleagues and family as well.
Yeah, and how has your family took what you've done? I mean, have they been quite supportive?
They've been very supportive. Obviously, initially they're a bit scared for us because, as I say, no one leaves a secure job. But over the time, they realise we are quite serious about it.
So where's this journey took you then? Now that you've got your two books out now, but initially when you had your first book, Walking to the Light, what was going on? Where did this journey take you? What kind of work were you starting to do?
Well, we're starting to teach people there's a wider reality. I mean, going back to Sarah Jensen, we'd actually relived the last moments of her life, so to say to someone we'd actually been murdered and both survived is a difficult concept. And because that had happened to us, it's like, well, there's definitely more than just this. There's definitely more to being born, going to school, going to work, paying your taxes and die. That's it. There certainly has to be a lot more to life than that.
Are you saying a lot of people are sort of living out there unconsciously, not knowing that there is a better way?
That's certainly what we found, yes.
Yeah.
That's where the second book came from, Beyond the Illusion, because we've looked into a lot of stuff, and it seems that we're being manipulated to believe that this reality is it, when we know quite definitely, because of our own experiences, that it isn't. There's so much more to reality.
Don't you find it very difficult, though, to sort of prove some of your experiences, or do you need to prove them?
It is difficult sometimes. It depends on who you speak to, but more and more people are having sort of things happen to them that they can't explain.
And when you say control there, who's controlling us, do you think?
Well, if you look back into history, it seems there has been an influence upon humankind which goes right back to the days of Sumeria and beyond. There are certain bloodlines that when you trace them back and trace them back to today, they are related to people that are in positions of power, people in politics, banking, media, and so on. And it seems that there's certain names within these bloodlines keep coming up, and they seem to have a lot of influence over human affairs.
So when we say influence, what we're saying here, in your opinion, is there's a bit of dumbing down going on. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, without doubt, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to. We're not trying to. It's not done. It's not done purposely. Would you say someone is dumbing down? Is it? I mean, has your journey been your own? Your own route to find this balance that you found? I mean, why would governments purposely dumb down people not to find this balance? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not just surmising, because if you do the research, certain quotes from certain individuals, they actually tell you what's going on. I mean, for a fact, they've said since the 1960s, it has been one of the purpose to dumb children down by fantastic technology, and we can see it happening. You know, that we're even driving somewhere the other day, and there's girls on the back of horses texting. You know, children can't seem to do without technology, and even though it's a good thing, if you realise what it can also take out of your mind and can take out of your life.
Yeah, do you think we become... Is that, though, just a sort of byproduct of becoming too materialistic?
I think it could well be. It's like TV programmes, you know, if you see them for entertainment, they are enjoyable. If you start becoming engrossed and attacking the actors because you believe it to be true, then there's something going wrong.
Well, what do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think the same. As Mick says, you know, we've heard of stories where people have gone and attacked people on the street for being in Coronation Street because they believe it to be real. I think what's happened is we've allowed technology, and certainly a lot of the media, to have too much of a role in our life. We're relying on it too much, and it seems to be stopping us from thinking from ourselves. You know, we have a lot of abilities within us, and technology seems to be trying to replace those abilities. And over time, I do see that humanity does seem to have been dumbed down.
But very briefly then, to both of you, do you think it's going to change?
It will change because we have so much help and so many higher realms, spirits, actually incarnating at this time to help.
Okay, well, just after the break, I want to come back to all those higher realms and the ufology as well, because I think that's a really important subject to touch on. So stay tuned as I'll continue to talk to Michael and Sarah after the break.
Visit themoreshow.co.uk/shop to purchase products and services from your favourite past guests. If you're new to this site, you can also catch up on the previous television and radio shows through YouTube and the More Show website.
Welcome back. I'm still joined with authors of Walk Into the Light, Michael and Sarah Feeley. Now, Michael and Sarah, one of the subjects I wanted to touch on in this next part of the show was spirit attachment. Now, how does that work, and have you experienced it yourselves?
Yes, we have. Sarah Jensen was a spirit attachment. Basically, when a spirit stays on this realm, after death, if they don't go through the light to where they need to go to, they will hang around on this realm. But to do that, they need a source of energy, and so what they will tend to do is latch onto a person that's still living and steal that person's energy, and they can create situations, normally of a negative kind, that will get the person to emit a certain kind of energy, such as anger or fear, and that spirit then will drain that energy from the person and use that as sort of a food to keep going and keep existing in this realm. So people with spirit attachments, I mean, not everybody's aware of it, but I imagine that many people probably do have them.
Well, what if a spirit sort of is, like you say, sort of blocked from moving over or have chosen not to? What if they've got certain addictions? Can they attach themselves to someone that shares those addictions, and that person then has a sort of, quadruple problem, or?
They certainly can, yes. I mean, they'll attach themselves, sometimes because they feel comfortable with that person's energy. Sometimes it's maybe a negative environment and they choose that type of energy as their food, and they will attach to the type of person that they want.
And I believe you had the experience, is that right, Michael, of the negative energy from the little girl when you had some sort of attachment?
Yep, Sarah Jensen and the perpetrator of her death was actually spirit attachments with ourselves. And at one point, just sitting on the settee, I was actually possessed by the spirit of the little girl, yes.
So your behaviour was, out of the norm, basically?
I went from being happy to instantly aggressive, irritable. My eyes were going tunnel visioned. It was like electric current going through me.
Do you think this is why some people can't explain when they're born into this life that they have certain addictions to things? And they think, well, where the hell's that come from?
It could well do. It can be brought forward from a past life.
So it could be both, maybe spirit attachment and the past life issues, or
It could, yes.
yeah, yeah. And how do you get rid of spirit attachments? I mean, how would you know you've got one, first of all?
Well, first of all, we know because we feel like we've got cement slippers. We feel really, really heavy. Sometimes I look in the mirror and one of my shoulders will be dropped, and I know I've got a spirit attachment. Sometimes you'll wake up, having had a good night's sleep, but be completely drained. You can be irritable if all of a sudden you have an argument and you don't know why. If all of a sudden the TV switches off.
Okay, and how do we help heal ourselves? Because we can't all keep going to, you know, there's not a doctor to go for that as such, is there? And some people don't have access to a medium. So, I mean, what's one sort of thing that you can say to people to sort of help themselves if they think they may be suffering from that?
Certainly what I advise them to do is everyone has spirit guides that are, I mean, it can be parental, maternal, it can be animal guides, it can be people you don't know. They will know how to remove attachments.
Right, right, okay. So, talking about attachments and spirit, what happens then, in your opinion, on the point of death to the physical? What happens to the soul when we die?
Well, I'd say death is basically a transition, and just because you leave the physical shell behind the physical body doesn't mean that you are then non-existent. You'll just pass to another realm, to another existence where you are comfortable, and you'll still be alive, you're just alive on a different level somewhere, and you'll continue to learn and grow as a soul, and you'll just carry on your learning wherever it is that you go to.
So, I mean, can you imagine what it's like? I mean, are we meant to know?
I mean, some people do get glimpses, I think, but I think even if you try to imagine it, I doubt we could really sort of do it justice.
Would you think we're meant to know?
I don't know. I'm not sure whether it really matters, really. I think the idea is, while you're here, is just to live this life and enjoy it, and then what comes after that, you know, you'll soon find out.
Yeah, and just touching back on what you just said there about enjoying this life, do you think we should do the things that we love to do, and that should be our focus?
Definitely, I'd say so, yeah. Because if you've got a passion, it really, you know, it'll make your heart sing if you go with that passion. Again, many people today seem to suppress their passions and their love of whatever it is they do. And it's a shame because many people come to the end of their life and wish they'd done more with it. They wish they'd have followed their passion. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, some of the work you do is you investigate haunted places. I take it. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's not really investigation, but we go to a local forest. Because of the experience that we went through with Sarah Jensen, we became more open and more sensitive to the things that were going on around us. So we started to pick up on spirits. We go to a local forest where we walk through, we take pictures with the camera because we always pick up really interesting pictures.
Yeah.
And we can feel that there are a lot of lost souls hanging around there. So what we do is we sort of get a bunch of them at the end, and anybody that wants to then go through the light, we can help send them into the light and send them on to where they need to go.
Okay, so let's just look at some of these pictures that you've took as well. Now, this particular one, I think it's with yourself stood there, Michael. Just tell us about that picture.
Well, that picture was in the forest, which was completely pitch black. You couldn't see, 2 feet in front of you. And then when we looked back at the picture, we saw this, what looked to be a dimensional gate opening up alongside me.
Okay, now that dimensional gate, that's the little white strip in the picture, which is just on the monitor there, with this tiny white strip. Now, let's just expand that strip on a different picture. What are we looking at when we zoom in on that white strip?
It appears to be some sort of doorway opening between the different realms.
So you wouldn't say it's a camera problem, or?
No, we took several shots of the same area, and it only appeared on 2 of them.
Okay. Well, let's just have a quick look at the next picture now, then. And this next picture, just tell us what we're seeing there with all the different orbs flying around, or floating around, should I say?
Yeah, once again, as we say, we sense that there's a lot of stuff going on around us when we do these walks, and the picture kind of confirms it for us. So a lot of the orbs on there will be lost souls and spirits hanging around, but the really, really bright ones can actually be angelic beings and other higher existing beings that are there to help and guide the souls that are lost.
Right, and what work have you done on those angelic beings and angels as well, which I know you've covered that?
Yeah, we work closely with them. Again, it's something that we was made aware of after the experiences that we had with Sarah Jensen.
Right.
And we just became aware that there were other beings around us. And when we started to sort of tune into these beings and find out who and what they were. They
Yeah.
turned out to be what we know as angelic beings, and they are there to help.
And are these the same as, I mean, are they passed on souls? I mean, what are these angelic beings?
Angels are sort of higher realms of existence that come to help mankind. I mean, angel just means messenger, and that's what they do. There were two humans, two men, that are now archangels, which is Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon. They actually walk the earth as a man.
Okay.
So that you can actually progress through the different realms.
Well, let's have a quick look at the next picture then as well. Now, I believe this picture is the one with the bright light. Now, just tell us what happened there.
Well, again, on the same night, we were walking through the forest. We could sense that there was a big build-up behind us of different souls and spirits, and so we were getting ready to sort of send them on into the light. What I didn't realise at the time is Michael and our friend that was with us had asked in their head for the souls to be released and to be sent through the light. And then all of a sudden, through the trees, came this massive white light that sort of came through, hit the road, opened out in front of us, stayed there for about 20 to 30 seconds.
Right.
We're all kind of in awe and not quite sure what's going on, but at the same time my camera then went off and took a picture on its own, and that was the picture that came out. And we basically came to the conclusion that what we'd just seen was the light. We'd asked for the souls to be cleared, and that's exactly what happened, and that's what the picture to us depicts.
I mean, obviously, people watching this will think, well, you know, that could just be a problem with the camera, or, you know, maybe they just saw something that wasn't there. I mean, what do you say to that?
I would say, considering everything that had happened, the fact that we sensed there was lots of lost souls with us, we asked the angelic realm to help us to clear them. Just after asking them, this big light appears in front of us, and then they disappear. And then I get a channeled message from the Archangel Michael, who is one of the angels that will take souls on, that says, I've cleared you of many souls as you've requested. Thank you and well done. And they all just died down and went back to the pitch black of the forest again.
One thing I want to talk about as well, which we've not covered, is astral travel. Now, I know you talk about that in your newest book. What is astral travel?
Astral travel is basically very similar to having an out-of-body experience. And it's something that started happening to me just a couple of years ago. But it started when I was 13. I got what people will call sleep paralysis. And this started happening at the age of 13 and happened for a long time, all through my life. And it never got any further than that. And it was a very terrifying experience. Then a couple of years ago, I woke up with sleep paralysis, unable to move. Anybody that's had it will know it's very scary because you're trying to scream out for help and nothing happens. And I decided that on this occasion, because I was so fed up of getting terrified and scared, that I was just going to relax and just go with it and see what happened. And the next thing I knew, I was sat up out of my body, looking at my body asleep and looking at Mick's body asleep, before I was then sort of sucked back into my body. Ever since then, I've now sort of overcome the fear of sleep paralysis, and I'm able to exit my body and go on little journeys. I haven't got too far yet, but you know, I've got to the front door, and that's about it.
So quite busy in your sleep then?
Busy, yeah. I mean, it's people would say that you're not actually asleep. You are. It's your consciousness. Your consciousness has stepped outside of your physical body. So while the body is still asleep, your consciousness is projected outside of it and can go off and do different things.
So would you say that's what dreams are sometimes?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's more often than not the subconscious that is in control. But when there are occasions when you can take control of those dreams and use your consciousness, in that case, then you are able to.
Yes, you mean that those
effect.
odd dreams you get when you know you're dreaming, and you sort of, you know, you take advantage of it, and you can. I suppose you fly and everything. I suppose astral travel, like you say, and
it's very real.
And you remember those ones, and okay. So is that the same as a near-death experience, though?
Yeah, the same sort of thing. I mean, lots of people that have had near-death experiences do state that they've seen a tunnel of light, and there've been people there beckoning them, and then they've been brought back to their bodies. The only difference between astral projection and actual death is that we are all connected to our bodies by an etheric cord. It's a non-physical cord, a bit like an umbilical cord. And while you're out astral projecting and having an out-of-body experience, you are always connected to your physical body, so you will always return. But upon the point of physical death, that cord is then severed which prevents the soul from then re-entering the body, at which point then it can either choose to stay or move on to the next reality.
Yeah. Why should we go towards the light, just very briefly? Why should we go towards the light?
Because that's where we should be. Earthbound spirits, which we call ghosts, are basically on this realm in limbo,
Okay.
and they shouldn't be here.
And is love the only answer?
Love is the most powerful vibration in the universe, and love actually means the level of vibrational energy.
Okay. And is that unconditional love, and what is unconditional love? Just very quickly.
Unconditional would be love at its purest form. Everything's on the same scale. You have hate and love. It's the same scale, but a different variance. But unconditional love would be its purest form.
Okay. Now, your website, where people can find out more information about yourselves.
Yeah, it's www.walkintothe.light.co.uk. We do have a weekly newsletter update as well, so people can join that and keep up to date with what's going on.
So your Facebook links, any other links, and the books are on there, yeah?
Yeah, everything's on there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
For more information on Michael and Sarah, visit my website, themoreshow.co.uk. See you after the break.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.